All right. Welcome back. Week 4 of the TNA Impact Wrestling World Title Series. Would this be the week that TNA finally decided to shake things up and maybe add a little spice, a little flavor, maybe throw some storylines into the mix, maybe add some surprises and some shocks and swerves and stuff, or would they continue on as they were doing before and just stick with a bunch of wrestling matches and not much else going on? Let's find out. I feel like I'm running out of interesting ways to say that two people in the World Title Series have a match with no storyline attached. Case in point, we started this week's Impact Wrestling with Matt Hardy versus Robbie E. from Group Tag Team Specialists in the World Title Series. And they had a match with no storyline attached. And therefore, there really isn't much you could say about it. The match is okay, but nothing you'll remember tomorrow. Hardy wins, as you would expect, and that's pretty much it. There was nothing terribly interesting going on here. Then, from Group UK, we have Drew Galloway versus Grado. Fuck Grado and fuck this match. It's the same thing over and over again with this clown. The other guy has trouble picking him up because he's fat, or he gasses out running the ropes because he's fat. It's the same joke every time. I don't know what the hell TNA's fascination is with this idiot. And him being this competitive against Galloway, who's basically TNA's top babyface at this point, was fucking ridiculous. And Drew looked worse for not being able to put him away easily. At least Drew won the match, thank Christ. After this, we have, that's right, another wrestling match. It's Aiden O'Shea versus Crazy Steve from Group Wildcards. And let's be honest, neither of these guys have a chance in hell of winning the World Title Series, so the winner here doesn't really matter. But O'Shea is, well, he's the new talent, sort of. So you'd probably want to put him over here. You know, lest he just fizzle out like a meaningless spot filler like he did in his last run. And he did win the match, but the match was boring. Just a bunch of brawling around the ring. Nothing much to see here. It was around this time that I looked at the clock and thought, man, this show is dragging. How about a talking segment or a backstage pre-tape or something to break up all this monotony? But we get no such thing because I guess that would take time away from the wrestling. And, you know, it was not the first time I would look at the clock during this show. Found myself doing that more and more as the show went along. Anywho, from here we go to, here's a shocker, another wrestling match. It's James Storm versus Abyss from Team TNA Originals. And maybe I should have been more appreciative of this one since it's one of the only matches on this show that actually had some kind of backstory to it. But it's an Abyss match. And God bless the guy, but it's going to take a lot more than a little backstory to make me care about an Abyss match at this point. It's also going to take more than a pre-match promo where Storm tells him to just walk out of the ring so Storm can get the win. Because Storm thought that he would just do that after Abyss turned on him and the Revolution broke up. He thought that Abyss would just do as he says. Why? Beats me. Maybe the writers needed to kill 60 seconds of airtime, and rather than give these guys some interesting verbiage to say, they just went, hey, Storm, say whatever, man. We're not putting much thought into this. We're really not. Anywho, Abyss reminds James Storm who he is. The weapon of mass destruction, a moniker that hasn't meant a damn thing in years where Abyss is concerned. So they have a match, and of fucking course, Abyss brings out Janice, And you knew Storm wasn't going to get hit with the damn thing because Storm wasn't wearing a shirt. God, that is such a fucking stupid weapon. I hate Janice so much. Aside from the cool sunset flip powerbomb spot, the match is forgettable, as most Abyss matches tend to be these days, and eventually Storm wins. So, great job being a devastating weapon of mass destruction, Abyss. You're really back on track now. Great job. And then, well, hey, look at that. We get another wrestling match. Didn't see that one coming. It's Tigre Uno and DJZ from Group X Division. It's a good match. And DJZ, a guy who has not won a match in God knows how long, gets the win over the X Division champion. And they don't even bother playing this up like it's a big deal. Could this mean there's an X Division title shot in DJZ's future? Does it really matter? Not really. TNA have proven by now that they have no real intention of doing anything meaningful with either of these guys. And considering that one of them is the X Division champion, that's pretty sad. And then our main event from Group Knockouts is Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong. Now, one cool thing about this is that the TNA still have enough investment in their women's division to at least give their women's division the main event on their TV show. And, you know, WWE, you'll love to boast about how, oh, the Divas main evented NXT. Okay, so what? They main evented your developmental system? When's the last time they main evented Raw? You know? So this is nice that TNA allows the women to do this sometimes. And it's a Bound for Glory rematch that TNA is now giving away for free. Because, although, you know, give them a little credit here, at least they did have a new match and didn't just air the one from BFG over again. So it had that going for it. And they tried to build this up with clips of their classic matches from 7-8 years ago to make this feel like a big deal. The problem is, that was 7-8 years ago. Now it is 2015, and these two women are still in the exact same spots. All due respect to both of them, because I have a lot of respect for both these women, but that's just not the way it should be. And it's exactly because of things like this that the Knockout division has gone through long periods of stagnation over the years. You know, despite TNA's claims that they have the best women's wrestling and the best women's division in the world, that's not really true anymore. If it were, they'd be moving forward, refreshing their roster, trying to find that next big female star, and not letting girls like Kaylee Ray and Nikki Storm, who could be big stars in 5 minutes, head over to NXT, while TNA is still trying to get a buzz going with Gail and Kong. These two should be helping get new girls over at this point, not trying to relive a feud from 2008. And I find it really strange that Gail has always been so protective of that feud and the legacy that it left, and yet she seems perfectly content to have matches with Kong today that don't exactly reach the same bar they set back then. Now, this was not a bad women's match by any means. It was an excellent match. But, you know, all told, it didn't seem to have the same spark that they used to. You know, that electricity that used to be in the air when these two faced each other, it's not there anymore. Like I said, still a very good match, but it just feels like something's missing at this point. And was it on the same level as their matches from 2007, 2008? No. You can't just recapture lightning in a bottle so many years later just by having them face each other again. It doesn't work like that. So why are we still stuck on this? Isn't it time we left this in the past and moved on to what comes next? Why is it so damn hard for TNA to just move forward with their knockouts? I don't know. Oh, and Gail Kim won. Because Gail Kim. And that is where Impact faded out for this week, with the big cliffhanger being that next week we will see, brace yourselves for this one, a bunch of wrestling matches in the World Title Series. So, yeah, pretty much the exact same cliffhanger that we've been getting for the last few weeks. Lather, rinse, repeat. This was another wrestling heavy show here. No real surprises, no real swerves. And I hate to say it, but right now with this world title series, TNA are just taking wrestling and kind of making it boring. This was a 2-hour show, but it felt longer than that. Most of the matches are enjoyable, at least when Grado's not involved. But without anything dynamic or interesting going on with the writing, then all you have is a bunch of mostly enjoyable matches, and you can get that on any wrestling show, really. It's like I said last week. TNA is not aspiring to be much more than a gimmicky version of ROH right now. And nothing against ROH, but there's a reason why I tried getting back into their show again when they started on Destination America and then quit after a few weeks. Your show has to be about more than that. And if it's not, then the best you can hope for is just treading water. If you have any questions or comments about Impact Wrestling tonight, put them in the comments section right now. Okay. Direwolf 87, Trish and Lita main evented Raw years ago, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, years ago. Trish and Lita main evented Raw years ago. When's the last time the Divas did that recently? I can't remember. That's the problem. Direwolf 87, did you hear about the Young Bucks re-signing with ROH? Yes, I did. I'm surprised a bigger company hasn't scooped those guys up yet. They're big enough stars by now that they could certainly sign. They could certainly draw a good asking price in a bigger company. I'm surprised. I kind of thought they'd hold out for somewhere else. Have they done any? Is there anything they can do in ROH that they haven't done already? And if they're happy there, I guess that's all that matters. Direwolf 87, should there be more than just one face of the company, and why? I say this because Austin and Rock were both equal in their booking back then. Yeah, I think that would be a smart business decision to make. That way, if one of your faces of the company goes down with an injury or leaves, then you still have another one who can take over. Building your company around just one person is probably not good business. Jaron Sperriman, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Good review. Thank you. Do my best. Jim Con 1479, what kind of music do you listen to? Alternative mostly. I like rock, but there are no good rock stations around here. I guess Tenacious D is my favorite band, but they don't get radio play for obvious reasons. I don't really buy many albums anymore. Mostly, I like specific songs more than bands. With exceptions here and there. So if I hear a song, I'll download that. But a lot of the time when I hear a song from one band, I'll look up their other stuff, and I don't like their other stuff, so I just kind of like just individual songs more than bands. Jim Con 1479, what do you think of Christopher Daniels? I'm a Christopher Daniels fan, always have been. His body of work speaks for itself. I don't think he needs me putting him over. William A. Bear, what is your choice of networks for GFW, TNT, FX, Spike, or WGN America? Don't judge me on my questions that involve TV deals for wrestling promotions. TNT and FX are probably way too optimistic for GFW right now. As with Spike, I think WGN America is the smallest network on that list, so if they could get on any of those networks, it would probably be that one. But still, let's see if they can attract a loyal fan following. I think they're still working on that. What was the attendance for the last TV tapings? What? I heard it was like what? 300, 400, 500 people. That ain't so good. William A. Bear, I know you don't like it, but what is your thoughts on the TV test pilot taping of GFW Amped? Nick Magnus Aldis as their first ever GFW champion. Well, is that available to view somewhere? I didn't see it. Didn't really have much of a desire to see it, although I approve of Nick Aldis being their first ever champion. That's probably the call I would have made. As I understand it, they're either working on or have signed some kind of TV deal in the UK, and if that's the case, then he was really their only choice to be champion. He was the first ever British world champion in wrestling history. He would have, could have, and should have been TNA's gateway star in the UK, and they shouldn't have let him leave. They should have done more to get him to stay, because he's a big he could be a huge crossover star in the UK. So if they've got a TV deal in the UK, then Nick Aldis is the guy who they want with the title. William A. Bear, I'm still fucking pissed about why TNA or dumb Dixie Carter didn't sign Kaylee Ray. Oh, dude, don't even get me started. I still think about that on British Boot Camp 2 and get fucking pissed off. She says Kaylee Ray is not ready. She said this. She wondered if Kaylee Ray was ready. This is the same woman who put Rebel on television, despite having virtually no experience. Put Rebel in the ring, despite, I think she couldn't have had more than like 10 matches under her belt at that point. No, but Kaylee Ray is not ready, but Rebel was ready. That makes sense. But yeah, apparently Kaylee Ray showed up on NXT tonight, and I'm definitely going to hunt down that match. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it was great because Kaylee Ray is always fucking great. And Dixie Carter was a damn fool for not signing her. The Save Me one. What do you think of Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett officially signing with TNA now? I've heard that they've been working as a tag team on the independent circuit. So if they're working as a tag team, good. Because TNA needs some fucking tag teams. There's only so long you can stretch out, the Wolves tag title reign when they have no one to feud against. So if they're going to be a tag team, put them in there with the Wolves. God knows the Wolves aren't doing anything with those belts right now. The Save Me one. I'm fine with the Knockouts roster for the most part, but I think it's time for Sky, Love, and Rain to go and be replaced with women like Shauna Ivelisse Velez, and maybe bring back Cheerleader Melissa before NXT signs them or they retire like most of the great indie female wrestling talent have. Oh, dude, absolutely. I think they've mostly got a good roster, but it's, those girls you mentioned. It's just they're not doing anything. They're not interesting anymore. All they have is reforming the beautiful people every time, they hit a dry spell. Lather, rinse, repeat. It's the same thing over again. They're just repeating the same pattern, and every time it's just not interesting. Okay, the last Beautiful People Reformation tanked. It went nowhere. Nobody cared about it. So, hey, let's just do it again. What the fuck? Whatever the fuck. What the hell? It didn't work last time, but it'll work now, won't it? Now, plus, Velvet Sky is essentially begging WWE for a job at this point. Hashtagging "We Want Velvet" during Raw, modeling the Dudley Boys ring gear on, Bubba Ray's Twitter page. And apparently TNA are just okay with this. I don't know why. Obviously, Velvet Sky is not happy working for TNA anymore. Okay, great. Then let her fucking leave. Give her spot to somebody who wants it. And, well, the situation's a little bit different for Angelina Love and Madison Rayne, because if they're intent on keeping Davey Richards happy, they probably got to keep Angelina around. And if they want to keep Josh Matthews happy, they probably got to keep Madison Rayne around. That's just the way it is. So unless they decide to retire, they're probably not going anywhere. The Save Me one. Robbie E is just not a babyface. I wish they would stop trying to make him one. Totally agree. Totally agree. Whether he's a face or whether he's a heel, the guy just comes off like a big douchebag. It's the same mode, pretty much. He's the same guy. I don't think he has any other modes that he can go to. He's just a douchebag, and that's it. The Save Me one. Grado is basically TNA's Brooklyn Brawler, and as long as they keep him where he is, I don't mind him being on the roster. I guess as long as he doesn't really do anything, he just pops in for a match here and there, and they don't give him any real feuds or try to push him in any significant way, I guess I can put up with it. But if they actually try to push this asshole, then fuck that. Do you see that backstage promo he cut tonight? He was so fucking unintelligible, they had to give him fucking subtitles. If the guy can't even talk clearly enough for people to understand him, why are you giving him promo time on your TV show? Let's see. William A. Bear. I've been watching all your old videos. Why are you always wearing sunglasses indoors during your Impact review? Okay, the sunglasses. The sunglasses thing started as a joke. The joke was after TNA went to high definition, I would have to wear sunglasses to protect my eyes from seeing Kip James, aka Billy Gunn, in high definition. And after that, it kind of grew from there, and I would start wearing the sunglasses every time some jobber Bolt, aka Sojourner Bolt, aka Josie from OVW, had a match, because she was terrible. And eventually it just kept growing, and then I would wear the sunglasses every time the show was bad to protect my eyes from a bad show. And eventually I just wore them so often that they just kind of became my gimmick. And after a while, I just wear them for every video just to be different. And well, it's not really necessary when I'm doing the live streams, so that's why I'm not wearing them right now. From your earlier videos, did you do? Let's see. From your earlier videos, did you do in videos in the basement before you filmed it in your room? Yeah, my earliest videos I did film in the basement, mostly because that was the only place that was quiet that I could go to record videos. And now things are different. Now I have, the video camera over there. Now I have like a really nice desktop computer here, and I've got a quieter place, so it's not really necessary to go downstairs and get away from people. Direwolf 87. Did you hear that cheerleader Melissa will be in the next season of Lucha Underground? She will be Marty the Moth's sister. I did not know that, but hey, good for Melissa. She's a great talent. She deserves to be on TV somewhere. So if she's going to be on Lucha Underground, good for her. The Save Me one. Velvet had a point at one time. She was the hot, sexy girl that you could put on a poster, calendar, or get on any shock jock Howard Stern wannabe show to promote things. But now that TNA have Taryn, Rebel, and Brooke, she's not needed as much anymore. Yeah. Pretty much. I remember I said this a while back. I guess a couple of years ago at this point, that probably the worst thing ever for Velvet's career was TNA signing Taryn Terrell. Because the best thing that Velvet had going for her was her looks. And the fact that she could be like the poster girl because of her looks. But then along comes this blonde bombshell, Taryn Terrell, who looks better than Velvet, is more charismatic than Velvet, wrestles better than Velvet. She's pretty much Velvet Sky 2.0, or she's like Velvet Sky, the good version. So when you got someone like Taryn Terrell, what the hell do you need Velvet Sky for? And I hope Taryn gets over whatever injury she's supposed to have right now, because I'd really like to see her back on the show. NJ, I think it's a little unfair comparing TNA main eventing a knockouts match to NXT instead of WWE, when NXT is seen as better the future of WWE. So for NXT to headline the Divas, the future is a good thing. Sure, it's good that the Divas get to headline NXT shows, but they don't get to do that when they go to the main roster. That's my point. Because of the different mentalities between the two brands. You know, WWE like to think that they're being super progressive and having the women main event their developmental show. But when they go up to the main roster, it's the same old story. And at the very least, you know, despite all of TNA's flaws, they do, when it comes to their women, they do, you know, from time to time, let the women main event their primary TV show, and they don't see anything wrong with that. And with WWE, you can't really say that. At least there are compliments and more positives there as we are looking at different divas in different matches and NXT spotlighting themselves. That's true. I guess you get to see more variety in NXT, and you get to see women from the indies, you know, get a shot in there. Like I said, Kaylee Ray was on NXT tonight. Apparently, doesn't necessarily mean she's been signed. It just means they wanted to use her on the show. You know, Blue Pants has been used, you know, numerous times on NXT, and you know, she was never signed. She's still a free agent. But, you know, that's the stuff that happens with NXT. You can bring in girls for a show here or a show there and just to try them out. And men too. And in that capacity, I do like that NXT does that. Jeff Atwood, will WWE make Sheamus cash in his Money in the Bank contract at Survivor Series after Reigns versus Rollins? Or will WWE wait for Sheamus to cash in on the WWE title after the Conor McGregor had his UFC title fight in December? Okay, well, hopefully they will forget about what Conor McGregor is doing and just try to get Sheamus over and make Sheamus relevant, because right now I don't think anybody cares about the guy. The guy is window dressing at this point. Hell, if I were WWE, I'd hold off on him cashing in Money in the Bank as long as possible. And if they can't get him over or make him interesting or make his character in some way relevant, I'd have him cash in and lose. NJ, with you still being a supporter of TNA, would you go to one of their live events? At this point, probably not. I don't really have the money to spend on stuff like that. And, well, I'm not confident that the card would be good. Because, you know, Velvet Sky is from my area. And, you know, every time they come to do a live event in this area, which they haven't done in several years now, they always put Velvet Sky on the card, and I don't want to see it. And with my luck, they probably put a bunch of idiots on there, like Robbie E., Grado. Like I said, the card would be a big factor, but would I go at this point? I probably want to save my money right now. NJ, what's one thing within TNA storylines right now? What would you change, why, and how? One thing I would change is that I would have them write storylines, because right now they're not. Seems like the only storyline they had was this injunction that EC3 put on Matt Hardy, forcing him to drop the world title or relinquish the world title. And now that that's done, all they're doing is the world title series that doesn't require them to really have any storylines. So that would be number one. I would have them start writing storylines. Period. Direwolf 87, who from TNA should go in the Scarlac pit first? Grado. NJ, could Hogan ever come back to TNA? Do you think he ever will? Oh, Christ, I hope not. No, they don't need that kind of publicity. No, don't go anywhere near Hogan. He's no, just no. Jim Con 1479. I never thought I'd see the day when WWE would be better at grabbing indie talent than TNA. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to use them well. Just means that Vince wants anyone with any talent locked up, which I heard is his mentality. So, we'll see. I would argue that most of the talent they grabbed from the indies that's on the main roster right now is not being used well. I mean, they're getting featured, but what are they really doing? What is Cesaro really doing? He's having matches. Has he gotten a storyline in forever? No. Has he been getting pushed really? No. He's a glorified utility player. Same thing with Kevin Owens. After the feud with Cena, he just kind of faded into the mid-card, and he's been there ever since. And it's like that with a lot of them, unfortunately. Direwolf 87, Fourth Dimension Fool Killer. Who was he a mark for? I'd never asked him. That's a good question, actually. I think he would probably be a mark for anyone who really annoyed me, but even he can't stomach a Grado match, or even he gets bored with a Robbie E match. So I mean, even he has his limits, I guess. NJ Brady, should the Big Show, Mark Henry, or Kane move over to TNA once WWE are finished with them, or they retire from there? No, they should just retire. They shouldn't go anywhere else. They should just retire. William A. Bear, if you owned either WWE or TNA, what would you change? The creative teams, for one. So yeah, both companies, creative teams out the door. Get a whole new staff. For TNA, I would change whoever is running the website. I would fire them immediately and hire someone who will actually do their job. Because to this day, I think Bully Ray is still on TNA's roster page. So they got a fucking monkey working that site. I would make changes to the rosters. I think there's a number of people in both rosters that you can get rid of and make room for better people, etc. NJ, has Dixie Carter ever had a wrestling match like Stephanie Vince have? If so, what do you think, or do you think she should do for a storyline? I don't think Dixie has ever had a wrestling match, and I would not want to see Dixie Carter in any storylines at this point, because every time she gets involved in storylines, she tends to get featured a lot more than she should be, and I don't like how she comes across. Especially as a babyface, if she's, her character is better as a heel, I think, when it's kept within reason. But as a babyface, oh god, she's always the damsel in distress who is a complete idiot and always needs somebody to save her and is so gullible that she'll fall for anything. It's not good. It's not. So no, I would not want to see Dixie Carter in storylines right now. Direwolf 87, top 5 guys you would push as the face of your company from any other company. You have the option to retcon them. Oh, God. Top 5 guys. Off the top of my head? I don't know. If you let me think about this for a while, I could probably come up with a better answer. Top 5 guys. Well, I think maybe Kevin Owens. I think Dean Ambrose, perhaps. EC3, certainly. I don't know, Magnus, perhaps, just for the crossover appeal in the UK. God, what else? Oh, hey, Brock Lesnar. Assuming we could get him on a regular schedule. I think that's 5, wasn't it? So that was just off the top of my head. Let's see. Direwolf 87. Not many people care about Sheamus. That is why he should drop the case to Cesaro. That might be an improvement. I would argue that Cesaro is not really in much of a position to cash in Money in the Bank. He's probably in a better position than Sheamus is right now, though. NJ, I have always recently... What? I've always recently that Sheamus should cash in, lose, and form a proper tag team with Wade Barrett. It seems like they are teasing some kind of friendship and partnership between those two. Well, if by teasing you mean they've been in some 6-man tags. I guess. A tag team? I guess it would be fitting in that they're both from the UK. Aside from that, I'm not really sure what they have in common. I don't see how becoming a tag team would benefit either of them. Being a tag team doesn't really benefit anyone in the tag team division, aside from the New Day right now. Direwolf 87. NJ, they are teaming up in shows as of late and likely feuding with the Dudley Boys. Yeah, I guess the Dudley Boys won't be getting a run with the tag titles in the near future, it looks like. Yeah, so that run at New Day didn't work out like they were expecting, I guess. You got to think they're disappointed with how their return to WWE has gone so far. How they don't get to talk, and they've really turned into a nostalgia act very quickly. And it's like, well, geez, how do you have Bully Ray and not let him talk? Makes no sense. Jeff Atwood, how's Fourth Dimension Fool Killer been lately? I also agree that Sheamus is not over and not interesting at all. Fourth Dimension Fool Killer, well, I don't know where he is right now, but he's hatching some kind of nefarious plot. You can bet your ass on that. And he'll probably show up again when we least expect him to. NJ, what is TNA's next special show or pay-per-view? When is it? I don't know. Assuming it's not, a one-night-only show, then maybe Genesis, which I assume would be early next year. But beats me, man. They don't think they need to promote those things. So if we're going to find out by watching Impact, then we'll probably find out maybe a week before it airs. Now, aside from that, your guess is as good as mine. NJ, poor Mark Henry or Show at least. They could become bodyguards or become the next monsters to be aligned with younger talent. They're like Brodus Clay. Well, Big Show is such a heat vacuum. I failed to see what pairing him with a young guy would do for the young guy. I mean, at this point, Big Show just sucks the life out of every segment he's involved in. I think the young guy would probably be better off alone. Mark Henry's kind of in the same spot now. It's like I just look at Mark Henry. I don't care about anything he does. Jim Con 1479. Do you watch any MMA? I do. I haven't watched it in a while, but I'll watch a UFC show when there's a fight. When there's a fighter I like. I always try to catch it when Ronda Rousey fights, although her fights don't last very long. So it's almost not. It's almost like you probably feel ripped off, paying pay-per-view price to see a Ronda Rousey main event the show because it's over just like that. Money well spent, but yeah, I always try to catch it when Ronda fights. Haven't watched a UFC in a while though. Direwolf 87, Vince or Dixie, who goes into the pit first? I say Vince. He's probably asking for it more. And I think you could say that Vince's vision of creative is doing more harm to his company. I mean, look at the ratings right now. That ain't good. Something needs to change with them fast. William A. Bear, I'm done. Will E. out. P.S. Thanks for calling me dude. You're welcome. Welcome. Jeff Atwood, the Usos are coming back very soon and are rumored to go after the New Day for the tag team titles. Okay. I'm glad the Usos are back. They're a fine team. But, it's the WWE tag team division. Am I supposed to get excited about that at this point? And frankly, the New Day are the only ones in there doing anything interesting. But good for the Usos coming back. That's nice. Been gone for a while. Okay. William A. Bear, before I go, do you ever watch Filmmaster Adam J's videos? I heard he doesn't like and watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He only watches 5 episodes during season 1. Oh, well, there's his problem right there. He doesn't watch. He's one of those people. Yeah, I don't know who that is, by the way. But, one of those people who watched the first couple episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1, wrote the show off and stopped watching, so he didn't see when the show began improving and turned into a great show. I don't know how many times I've been over this, but yeah, everyone acknowledges that those first couple episodes of season 1 were shaky. But it was a show finding itself, and once it did, the show got much, much better. And this is all well documented, so don't know how else to say it. Direwolf 87. How I would book Cesaro with the case is for him to declare his cash in at WrestleMania 32 and will defend the case at every pay-per-view until then. It builds up wins for him and establishes Cesaro as the main eventer if he wins the WWE title or not. You could do that. Probably wouldn't be the worst way to go. It's certainly better than jobbing out the Money in the Bank winner over and over again before he cashes in, because that has been their strategy in the past to mixed results. NJ, what are your thoughts on Kurt Angle not re-signing with TNA or WWE for his final run? Well, not surprised. mean, he's pretty much done everything he can in TNA. You know, he parted with WWE on bad terms. Maybe he wants to do something different. Maybe he wants to go to Japan or Mexico or some other promotion for his last run. Can't blame the guy. I mean, he's given everything he's got. Maybe he just wants to try something new. The Save Me one. Who wins, Rousey or Cyborg? Well, assuming the fight happens. Oh gosh. I'm going to say Cyborg because, man, it seems like Ronda's been trying to get out of that fight for a long time now. You figure maybe Ronda isn't sure she can beat Cyborg. Maybe it's a mental thing going on there. But yeah, Cyborg seems to want the fight. So I guess it's up to Ronda to decide whether it ever happens. So yeah, in terms of like mental toughness, I guess I got to give it to Cyborg. But I honestly, I feel like an idiot betting against Ronda in any fight at this point because all she does is win. So that would be a tough one. Direwolf87, did you read that Fox Sports article that Ronda wants to go for the Divas title? Ronda would rip that title apart. I hope she would. And maybe they could get a Divas title that didn't look like shit. Ronda Rousey going after the Divas title. Oh boy, don't give WWE any ideas because they might actually do that. It'd be kind of cool, actually, though. They could make that work. They've done much stupider things with celebrities. And I believe that will do it. Okay, my stomach is telling me that I have indigestion. Again. Haven't really eaten anything all day. Haven't had an appetite. Maybe that's part of it. Anywho, that'll be it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Good stream tonight. Yeah, pretty short and sweet this week. Yeah, about 45 minutes. Feel like I said everything I needed to say. Good questions, good comments. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and tune in for the Comic Show post-show tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Right here on my channel, we're going to be talking about the Supergirl pilot because Supergirl premiered, I believe, this past Monday. Also, we have a very special episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where they did some really newfangled, well, not newfangled, but it was a very unique episode. It was with the one focusing entirely on Simmons' story of how she survived on that alien planet. And I have quite a few things to say about that one, some of which you might be surprised to hear. And also Arrow and Flash as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So tune in tomorrow night at 10 p.m. for that. And I will talk to you then. So until tomorrow night, over, out. Be seeing you.